Dos Equis Pavilion.
Is that the old
Starplex? Yeah. It's cool. We sit out there on the lawn and have a good time.
Hell yeah.
And music's fantastic. I mean, they're fantastic. So.
It's the one concert I've never been able to catch for whatever reason. It's always been timing has been bad. And he's always been, because I've lived in Fort Worth, Dallas, and Austin my entire life, right? So he's always here. Well, he was when he was big, you know.
Yeah.
I never caught him. And that's the one show I really want to see live.
Yeah, there was quite a few people there.
Yeah. Still, 25 years later, right?
Yeah, right. After 90, 95?
Yeah. He was famous when I was in my teens, you know what I mean? And now he still draws how many hundreds or tens of thousands.
And I was late getting into like listening to his music and whatever,
right.
Besides what was on the radio. And then, greatness.
I love Dave. All right, so welcome back, everybody, to the Ammo Box DadPod. Episode 11, I think, Season 2. We're sitting down this afternoon with my very dear friend, Will Hancock of the Blood-moon Bandits, one of the more prolific songwriters, in my opinion, in the Fort Worth area. We've been playing together off and on for 6 years now, I guess, give or take, since the start of the Campfire Jam.
Quite a while. Is that where I met you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first. I think the first endeavor. It was either that or whatever.
The Moon Tower place.
Moon Tower. Maybe it was. Was it Moon? It was either that or it was. Well, it's Dirty Water now. What they call it.
Oh yeah, let Randy's.
Because you're in the Paul Strickland.
One of the Randy's bars.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with so many people about like, where we meet again?
Yeah, right. Because you ran the Paul Strickland Jam forever.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Which was really cool. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Paul was such a cool dude. I haven't seen him in a long, long time. Anyway, so we're just gonna probably talk mostly music, I would imagine.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
We don't discriminate here. We've had some really intense conversations about some real shit, man.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I don't think that we'll have any trouble coming up with something. So what's going on with you musically? What do you got moving and shaking?
Well, not as much as I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
I'm still play and try to practice because I go a lot of jams and whatever. Is definitely more than like actual gigs these days.
Right.
So, but it's so I'm still trying. I'm still writing. Just if it's just a few minutes or you're actually putting some time into it or whatever.
Creating something.
Something. But yeah. Not a whole lot. So trying, always having some new material is always good, I would think. But
and that's kind of where I'm kind of in the same boat, like we were talking on the patio.
And then you get to a gig and I'm like, oh, here's Willie Nelson. I'm like, oh wait, I just wrote a really cool new song and I'm playing these covers and
it happens.
It happens. You got 3 hours, work it in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's like we were talking about outside. I'm kind of on that same boat. I'm not really I don't really want to focus on playing live anymore. You know what I mean? I'm 44 this year. My knees are bad. I got shoulders that are messed up. I haven't worked out in years. You know what I mean? I don't have the energy to haul around 300-400 pounds worth of equipment 4 times a week. Especially with the advent of this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You got a lot going on.
Why not?
It's awesome.
Why not take advantage of it? I just need to learn how to record now and master, and I'll be set.
It's progress,
which is the hard part. So I always like to ask people when they sit in these chairs, about what motivates them to do what they're passionate about. Right? We've been really blessed to have some incredible people on this show who have done some really incredible things. I mean, James and Randall, and specifically on the music side, and Eric Fayard. You guys know Eric, right? Eric Fayard.
Not personally, but you've talked about him, and I think I've seen him play maybe.
So I always like to kind of give people a door to the inside, to what motivates somebody to do what it is they do. Because I know you were a teacher first, right?
That's what I went to school for, and
right.
I did it briefly.
Right.
Coaching was the main focus on that, but you had to teach, and for some reason I fell out of it, and I guess almost about that time I started playing music. So
right.
I was like, so I'm not saying it took over one, but I moved around a lot. So, but it was just I guess throughout the whole life just follows like sports, and you get to play those forever. It's the one thing that just latched on to me, and I started playing. I was like, what, 5th or 6th grade. It was like, you can go to art or you can go to band, and ever since there, it's been music.
Right.
It happened right about then. I was like, Mom, I need a keyboard for Christmas.
Right.
And then, yeah.
So it hit you kind of young then.
Yeah. As far as inspiration, I mean, that's just not answering the question. But
what were you listening to back then? Like, what was
my gosh.
What kind of noise were?
Who knows? Just what was on the radio. And my brother honestly was a big influence because I liked some music he listened to that you wouldn't hear on the radio. Stuff.
Right.
I can't give examples, but
because you're a couple years older than I am, right?
Be 46.
46. Yeah. Okay, so on the radio when I was a kid, I remember like Def Leppard and Poison. And
yeah, I love that.
White Lion.
I love like Bad Company and Steve Miller and
yeah, some good stuff back in the day.
Really, before the Eagles.
Yeah,
oh, they're great.
Eurythmics. I had a soft spot in my heart for the Eurythmics through the late 80s, early 90s. You know.
And when I was young, it was my mom, so she had these vinyls. So she had Bob Seger, Bob Dylan, the Beatles. So I had a instruction of music when I was young, but I didn't really start getting into it and appreciating it till, like high school,
right?
Well into my teens.
Yeah. You went to Hyco, right? You were out there in
a small town of Hancock. Yeah.
So what is obviously, it's a culture shock, going from and I would imagine it's probably a culture shock. Where'd you go to school?
Went to Weatherford College first, and then after that was Tarleton.
Okay, right on.
So they're also kind of close together when you think about it.
Right.
There's a whole world of education. I'm like, I'm just going around over there.
Right. Go down the street. Right.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. So was that kind of what brought you up this way? I mean, what made you stay in? I'm assuming you stayed in Fort Worth once you kind of got out of school, or did you go back to?
No, yeah, I moved straight to Fort Worth afterwards and got a job at the Y and was doing the degree stuff for my sports, and then ended up moving away, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I did then before that. It's when I coached and taught a little bit, and then I moved up there, and then came back, and and started actually like going on stage and stuff.
Right.
That was like 2008.
Okay.
And it's like where I met half these people I see all the time.
Right.
Like, yay!
That is a kind of a crazy thing. Like James and I talked about when he was on. That connection you have with people that you share a musical experience with.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's a pleasurable music experience. It's one of those things you can't really explain until you actually do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why those connections run so deep across. I mean, because we haven't seen each other in like 2-3 years, since before COVID. But
yeah, and then we show up at the same campfire jam.
Yeah.
Like, here we go again. Hey,
yeah,
just saw you yesterday.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I love that. I love that about the music scene in Fort Worth, specifically. You know what I mean? There's still some politics and crap, but in general, I think the Fort Worth music scene is very endearing, or I shouldn't say endearing, but at least welcoming, inviting.
I would say so. Yeah.
Because I mean, guys like you're always running jams somewhere. James is always running jams somewhere. Brian. What's his last name? How do you say his last name?
Belay.
Yeah,
that seems like basically one of the first people I met when I moved back. So.
And he's a character. I love Brian. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting dude. And when you see me kind of looking at a different direction, we have Will's lovely other half, Rebecca, here too. She's kind of listening in. So I'm not looking into space, and losing my mind or having a stroke. I promise. If you want to say hi, you can come say hi. No. Wave. So I promise I'm not stroking out or anything. So what brought you to that campfire jam? And I'm gonna harp on the campfire jam a lot because I think it's an important part of Fort Worth music in my mind. I mean,
for sure,
biased.
Sure, so many different circles. I'm lucky to reach different people, or but there's some musicians that play in Fort Worth, and you never heard of that, whatnot. But try to keep a link between all those. It's not something I'm trying to do, but it seems to happen. But the campfire jam is just when it first started. I started out going there because of Rodney and Cody and James, and they all started doing this. Then at the same time, I had the Red Goose open mic.
No kidding.
And for like 2 years, I would seldomly go. I would go after Red Goose sometimes. Sometimes I wouldn't make it to the last call, and then I finally got a chance to like frequent that, and met so many people through that. Yeah. You know, Ronnie had the board where everybody signs, and it's like the board's full. There's just so many people that have been there to just pick one. If it's just one night, you know, you see him once a year, whatever.
And that was one of the coolest things that he did for sure. Was that list of people that he can kind of I don't want to say memorialize, but kind of remember everybody that's kind of dipped their toe in the water, so to speak. Right. Some really, really interesting cats. And I haven't talked a whole lot about Rodney. We kind of touched on it with James. Rodney Moore was a very dear friend of both Will and I, and James as well, who passed a couple of years ago in a motorcycle accident. And he was one of those kind of people who was, you walked among an air about him that was so inviting that you didn't have any other choice but to like move towards it, right? It was that gravitational pull thing on a personality level.
Charismatic, right? Like it didn't matter if it was about music, it was, you know.
Yeah. And
good person.
A remarkable person. So cheers to you, Rodney. Amazing dude. Amazing music. I had the brilliant idea of trying to maybe do one of his songs on one of the next albums, just for craps and giggles. Of course, whatever I would make off of it, is if anything were made financially off of it, I would give it all to his family, and that's fine. But I still want to do it because I loved his music that much. It was so good. And it came from such a good place. Yeah. And it's hard to quantify that in the podcast for people.
He wrote a couple of those songs, in my garage.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's like, I'm working on this one, and it's like a million miles or something.
Right.
And that's just such a beloved song now.
Yeah. It touched so many people in such a positive way. So, remember Rodney. Well, that's what we'll call this podcast. We'll call this Remember Rodney. Mm-hmm. So, as far as what motivates you to kind of make music and pursue it, I know that you've written some really incredible music that I have had the pleasure of playing alongside of you, and I always want to know like what's next. You know what I mean? When it comes to Will, every time it seems like periodically we'll lose touch for a little bit, and then we'll rejoin. You'll have a new song. I'm like, well, of course he does. Of course he has a new song that's kick ass because it's Will. So what drives you to keep writing songs? What burns inside you?
I don't know about burning. That could be a whole nother conversation. Just kidding. But it's a lot. Life in general just inspires songs. I don't know. That's a vague answer, I know, but I enjoy it. Like when I get to it, I don't do it as much as I used to, but I try to. If it's just like free writing or just being creative in general.
Right. So you don't necessarily have like a.
Sometimes I'll paint or like how I write. Sometimes I have to express something.
Sure.
I don't know. I like to be on stage. There's no doubt about it, but you have to have other pedigrees as far as, hey, I can play music. It's like, well, are you working at it? Are you being ambitious?
Right.
Are you putting your music out there? Mm-hmm. Dang.
Yeah. That self-accountability thing.
And I've been in and out for years now doing it, but I've never crossed over the line like, hey, this is an EP, this is an album, are you doing anything? I haven't ever, but.
Right. Well, and that's not necessarily what makes a musician either.
Yeah, it's not. It's just not on me. There's how many people do we know? They're just so great. I'm like, hey, have you recorded it? No, not yet. I'm like, you sound a lot like me. I'm a better motivator of doing it than actually doing it.
Well, and I like to look at Chris Stapleton as an example because he had sold a bunch of songs before he ever got famous.
I'm sure.
Everybody did. He was like the baby face of country music, right? He was writing or co-writing on everybody's. So I'm if somebody wants to pick one up And it's on Spotify. Go check them out. If you want to pick one up, you holler at me. Let me know.
And honestly, being like that, not knowing such greatness is like you hear a song that makes it to some top charts of the radio, and it's this band, and they're like, "Oh, that's Chris." I'm like, it took that to be like, Chris Stapleton song.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like overnight he kind of blew up when I was listening to him, and then But obviously he had his like foot in the game, you know, and then it makes you wonder about like you just write for people when you could just be great right then, because he didn't just start singing like that and have that soul, and like it's like I guess he just wanted to take a different path, and like it was probably like, hey dude, do something, like you're gonna be famous.
But at the same time, how much of that was maybe a publicist saying, no, you don't have the right look, right? Because he blew up right around the beginning of the Nashville kind of pop country movement. No offense to Nashville and pop country, blah blah blah.
Well, his music certainly that was a fine line of when it changed.
Yeah,
like, I mean it was gradual, but it's like, wait, that's not even the same.
That's not what they're doing. Yeah, that's not the noise they're making. He was doing something totally different, But he was not the, I don't want to say stereotypical, but the most aesthetically marketable, for lack of a better phrase. Not that he's a bad looking dude, but he didn't fit a mold,
right?
But like, is that like what's your current stance on like the state of music as it sits today? Because I mean, I've got diatribes for hours on a deep-seated hatred for some of it. You know what I mean? But what's your take on it?
I hear a lot of great music. Unfortunately, it's not on mainstream radio. Right. It's like buddies of mine. Yeah. Or people that have gained some notoriety, but they're still full worth, and you've played with them, and I hear that great. 91.7 is sometimes the music is all over the place, but they nail it a lot. So I listen to that channel because it's some stuff you won't hear.
Right, stuff you're not gonna hear on major rotations or whatever.
Yeah, not to say that people aren't writing good songs and doing it, but they present them just like the guy next to, and like the next guy song is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a lot of it gets not drowned out, and maybe it drowns out a good song because it sounds so much like something else.
Right. And that's what you. Music is.
I'm no stranger to that. I'll be playing a song, I'm like, it sounds just like something else, or whatever,
Yeah.
Not lyric wise, but just the way the song flows, and that shouldn't deter you from writing and doing songs, because I mean, let's face it, like, it's been a long time, and good stuff's been done, and like you're doing stuff now. It's like
there's only 12 notes.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
Homeboy, a long time ago. Anyway,
I always tell people there's only 12 notes. You can only arrange them so many ways before they start kind of repeating each other, and that's in all of the best pop music that's ever gone like super ultra. Sorry, Emma Box. I know I'm flashing Miller Lights. We had this left over. I promise we'll boycott later. Anyway. What was I saying? Or is it going a cycle of music, right? Something about that. See, this is what happens.
12 minutes.
Huh?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
12 notes.
12 notes. Right. So, all the major pop songs that have, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but a good portion of them are built on 1-4-5. Right. A common tonality structure that you hear, and all the way back to blues and gospel. Right. It's literally created the most abundant cash crop of music since the 1950s. More so than any other organization of tones. But
that progression is just so easy to latch onto. So I mean,
it's super catchy.
There you go.
You're just organizing that same stuff in a new way. You know what I mean? In a creative way.
For sure.
And I'm not one to say that. I used to be one of those super elitists. Like everything I wrote had to be like super long, like all these ridiculous chord progressions that move through sevenths and whatever, right? And modulate and yada 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 yada. Overly complex, because that was how I wanted it to be. Because I'm going to be totally original, not understanding that the people who want to hear what I was making at the time, generally they don't buy music because they're poor college students who are studying music. You know what I mean? No offense, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So when I kind of let go of the fact that not not everyone's ear is going to be tuned into that noise. The easier it was for me to start kind of allowing myself to be creative in a more, I don't want to say simplistic structure, but maybe a more recognizable structure. You know what I mean? And now, I think we've done okay. I think we've done all right.
Believe so.
Yes.
Yes.
But there's only so many notes. Only notes. I'm having a stroke today. There are only so many notes, and no matter how
my castle has 2 modes actually.
And no matter how you organize them, at some point it's gonna sound similar to something somebody else has done. I do it all the time. I'll start writing something that's like, oh, that's whatever band from the 1980s that I grew up listening to. You know what I mean?
Kind of if you break it down, you can pretty much find something.
So your process as far as songwriting, I mean, I tend to do very free form as a rule, because I like the organic flow of like writing lyrics. But I know everybody's a little bit different as far as how they approach it.
Yeah.
Are you like one of those kind of cemented, this is how I do it guys, or?
Definitely not. No. Every song came certainly different.
Yeah.
Whether I was writing it down on my head and then I translated it and just wrote a few words down, got the guitar to write, and then wrote more as it came to me. That's one way. The other way is you just write it all out.
Right.
And you're like, I like the story, I like the song, I think, and you play it certain ways until one sticks.
Right.
And that's one way. And sometimes this sounds really great. I'm hitting one of these 12 notes right now. I'm like, and it sounds good. It's a good riff. I'm like, and you borrow old lyrics that you can make a song out of, and sometimes that happens. So there's so many ways, right? So many ways. And freestyling, it's like recent friends, that came to my life. They're so good at it. Brian Belace always been so good at just on the spot, like, hey, it's a great song. I just came up with it right now.
Yep.
And that happens with Stefan and all these people that freestyle so good.
Yeah, Stefan's a killer. He's got a very unique style as it relates to guitar playing. That's not, I don't want to say normal, but it's not normally a style that you would associate with like acoustic guitar, and he pulls it off so well.
Yeah, right.
Oh well. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things I really love about your music is you write across different styles. You don't like, I won't say cornhole yourself, but you mash yourself into a specific way of conveying noise. And I hear little bits of like 80s pop rock, you know what I mean, in some of your stuff, you know what I mean. I hear,
for sure.
I hear little snippets. I'm like, it kind of sounds like Eurythmics or whatever, you know what I mean. And I love it because honestly that's the kind of music that I like to listen to, you know what I mean. Because I like the state of music as far as I'm concerned today is not great. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so, but I find a lot of it has to do with what's popular on the radio, what's in major rotations.
Right. You don't hear the Wood Brothers, on the radio. They're really great.
Yeah.
I heard Dr. Dog, even the Avett Brothers. Sometimes there's just some bands out there that are so good. I'm like, but you're not gonna.
Yeah. And I hate it because I was listening to who. What is it? Beato? Rick Beato is. He's got a YouTube channel. He's really cool.
No.
He's been in the music industry forever today. He's worked with some really, really big name guys, and he put together his own YouTube channel and reviews like the actual music science behind popular music, right? And one of the ones he did was like the top 5 or 10 songs for a week, for whatever week it was, last year sometime, right? And he went through like the first 5 songs, and I was like, okay, they all sound the same. And his comments were, yeah, they all sound the same. They're all computer generated. The beat is, it's all very similarly composed. And the one that he got to that he was impressed with is it Miley Cyrus that does the I Can Buy Myself Flowers? I can buy myself flowers.
You're asking the wrong person.
Right, exactly, right.
I know she exists and is a musician, but I couldn't tell you her music.
She is the realest musician according to somebody who's been in the industry for 40 some odd years, and today is Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus. No, look, she's remarkably talented.
Killer voice.
She's a remarkably talented singer. But there's so many people out there making good music that actually write their own stuff. You know what I mean? That don't have necessarily a studio behind them, but that can still make high quality noise. And I blame her father for a lot of that too. Oh my God, dude! It was in high school. It was that and the Beatles.
How does that song transcend and still be popular? Like,
yeah. Excuse me. At some point, you'll hear it at a country bar.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and I hate it because every show choir between 1995 and 1999 did their country song that they did for their show choir show was "Break Your Heart." Dudes in mullet wigs. Oh my God. Oh, make it stop. Make it stop. And I can't do it. And his daughter, to their credit, remarkable marketing, incredible marketing, right? They're remarkably famous, and Billy Ray Cyrus hasn't done an album since when? Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, I don't know either.
She was what was her Disney name?
Oh, Hannah Montana.
Yeah, right. Super popular already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, genius level marketing, and I'll give them all the credit in the world for being it.
Disney, don't get me started.
That's it. You want to pull that ripcord? I'm down. No. You want to pull that ripcord, dude? I am so down.
Co-piloting this ball.
Disney. So,
hey, she's a very talented singer.
Yeah, she is, and I'll give her all the credit in the world for being so.
Actress. I mean, she's been in shows.
Yeah,
she's got a great career.
But the fact that
I don't know anything about her.
Yeah,
she's been in the spotlight.
Right, and you have to wonder how. I have no friends that look at Miley Cyrus as one of their staples in their playlists. Right, I don't know anybody that chases after her new albums. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I don't have a good perspective from which to approach, how famous she actually is, because I don't listen to the radio. I don't. If it's not on a playlist on Spotify, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from.
Like I said, I listen to 91.7 and then sports radio.
Right.
I'm driving a lot during the day, so
yeah, lots of podcasts.
Yeah,
lots of podcasts. What podcasts do you listen to?
I just listen to the 105.3 The Fan.
Do you really?
And then switch back to music because they seem to break.
Right.
They'll talk, and then they're automatically doing an announcement. I'm like, well, you just started talking about the freaking Go Mavericks. Anyway, and then they're like, well, first of all, let's talk about these lawyers, and they do the live commercials. So it's really cool. That's a really ingenious idea where how it's been going for a while, but instead of breaking, going to commercials, they just go right into
it. Just read it, yeah,
or it's already re-recorded or whatever they do. Yeah,
the live read.
I like those guys, and they're very insightful.
Right on. So we got Stars playoff hockey right now, right?
Stars, good Lord, it's gonna be hard to come back now.
Yeah, I honestly have been paying no attention. I haven't watched hockey in so long.
I always liked hockey and the Stars, but the last 5-10 years, they're good. You keep up with them or whatever, and they get to the playoffs. Obviously, everybody's involved. So
right.
Boom. They're like, oh, Vegas is rocking the house. I'm like, yeah, but during the season, then nobody goes to the games.
Right.
There's people jump on board,
Yeah.
What happens? Homers, I do it too. But yeah, they played really, really well, but they have to win the games before they go to extra periods because in overtime,
can't get it done.
It's like the Cowboys kicker. I don't think he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're I don't know what happens.
There's always that one
part
of your game
brilliantly, and then they're like, oh, man, in 1 minute they're like easy. Like, what happened?
Right.
But anyway,
there's always that
they still
one
have a chance.
game.
They're coming home to Dallas.
Right on. They played tonight, right?
They played Tuesday and Thursday.
Thursday. So they're on the road tonight then.
In Vegas.
So the last time I watched Stars, it was the Buffalo Sabres Stars days.
Oh, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, when they first got here to Dallas.
I don't watch a lot, honestly. But
I loved it though. When it first came, and we had Madonna and Hatcher and LaFleur and all those. I mean, and Belfort and those real murderers. It was fun to watch because
totally different game.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays they go beep and they check somebody. They used to like punish them into the like. Yeah. Nowadays,
if you didn't break a finger,
yeah.
It was like Kevin Hatcher was one of the scariest individuals because he was like 6'4" Darian Hatcher.
Oh my god,
he was like 6'4" off skates.
He
was
huge
and fast for a big guy. He was fast on those blades, man. Well, he had a lot of momentum. It's just gliding. If you start the machine, start the machine right, he can smash somebody very badly. And I watched him upend a whole bunch of people over the during that time, which was fun hockey to watch for me anyway.
Yeah, hockey's is definitely the most entertaining and live sport to watch, no question.
Yeah, I went to
baseball. I love baseball, but like in person, like it's like nonstop.
Yeah, I've only been to one. I've been to 2 hockey games, 3 hockey games.
I've been to a couple.
Yeah, and the first one was Kings Penguins. Right, back in the 80s when Gretzky was still playing for the Kings.
Oh wow!
Just before, they had frozen over Reunion Arena as an exhibition game, right? Because they were talking about bringing hockey to Dallas, like 88, 89. So they brought the Penguins and the Kings in for an exhibition game at Reunion Arena, froze the arena, and played a hell of a hockey game. I was like 8 years old, and I really didn't know much of what was going on, but. It was fun. And then the next one I went to was a bartender buddy of mine played like local league hockey in Hurst, guy named Smitty, and watched him play hockey. And there's like 5 people there, you know what I mean? It's just recreational hockey, a bunch of guys. But in Hurst, in Texas, they have recreational hockey leagues. In Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Texas.
It's been a long time.
Dude. This was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I went to a Brahmas game. In Fort Worth Brahmas game, which was really cool, even though there were only like 25 people there.
The minor league games are so fun.
Yeah.
Dude. I've been to a few of those.
It's pretty ruckus.
But I saw the Rangers in Madison Square Garden.
Right on.
So that was a cool, even though it's considered one of the crappiest hockey rinks still.
Yeah.
But it's famous for other reasons. But I saw a couple games there. I got to see Boston before they switched. It was the Boston Gardens where Larry Bird.
Oh yeah.
Got to see there once.
Nice. Favorite sporting event you've ever seen?
Couple of Stars games locally.
Yes.
Like who can afford that?
Right. I know, right?
Like the.
What do you think? Have you been to the new stadium yet? Have you been to the new stadium? Have you seen a game yet?
The Stars?
No, for the Rangers.
Oh, we went to like a spring training game.
What do you think?
The stadium is pretty cool.
You like it?
I haven't been there since then. It's been like 2-3 years ago when it first opened.
Yeah.
So there wasn't many people there. They've changed the rules. The game's a lot better, faster, runs a lot smoother. I bet it's quite an experience. You're not there for 3.5 hours. The game's over in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
it goes by fast.
I don't like the new stadium at all.
You don't like the new stadium? Oh, okay. I haven't heard anything bad about it.
No, it's look, the amenities are nice. It's a great facility as far as like if you want something to do other than watch a baseball game while you're there for 4 hours. You know what I mean? Right. You've got plenty of stuff. There's like bars and like little sit down restaurants.
And people do go early, but the actual game's not really fast.
Yeah,
like, it goes by fast.
And it's right there at Texas Live, so it's real close to like a really cool little venue with like food and stuff. But the stadium, it
wasn't crowded when I went there, so it was
My thing is like because when you're walking up to it, like because Katie and I go to opening day every year, right? So we'll park out. We have our friend who works at a little office building near there off Randall Mill, so we just park and just walk up to the stadium. And as I'm walking up to it, a couple years ago when they first opened it, I see this just giant like octagonal top, very utilitarian. There's no color to it. It's just this big brown box. I was like, this looks like a military training facility, like the bare minimum. Like,
really? You mean with the roof closed?
The roof, yeah.
We were there. The roof was open. I haven't even been to that area.
I don't know. Maybe it's. And look, it might be me. You know what I mean?
And if you go in July though, it's not deathly.
And that's fair. That's fair. I remember the Rangers, the old Ranger Stadium.
All right.
You know what I mean? With the metal seats, so you just left, part of your ass on in summer games.
I know.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm stuck in my ways.
Yeah, I'd love to go back. Certainly, since they're a pretty damn good team this year, but as soon as you get good, the sooner the prices go up.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, those are like $10 tickets 5 years ago, and now they're like $120.
Yep.
What?
Not including parking. Good luck.
I know it's.
I hate it.
I'll probably go to maybe 1 or 2 Rangers games this year.
It's sad they've made it. They've gotten it to the point where it has to be like a special event for the average person. You have to have you have to make an excuse to go because you're going to spend a crap ton of money. It's not just something you can go to on a Saturday.
Oh, for instance, we went and saw Dave Matthews Band. Experience great, plus great. Go get a beer, $20.
Yeah.
For one beer.
Real. Unbelievable.
It's a double one, so it's what, a 24 ounce?
Yeah.
I was like, $20.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
For Dos Equis? Really?
Whatever beer. Yeah, whatever beer.
Yeah.
All 20.
Yeah. And it's like Ranger Stadium now, like $9 a beer, $8-9 a beer for like Bud Light and Miller Light.
I like the
stuff,
old stadium, that now they use for XFL.
Yeah.
Which the Arlington team won.
They just won.
They won the championship. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, that's because they got an Oklahoma coach.
XFL obstacles.
Actually, I don't even know who's coaching this year.
Yeah,
I know
he is.
Is he?
He's obviously a good coach, but he's just.
He's an interesting character, boy.
Yeah. They won. I'm like, nobody cares.
I saw it on Facebook. It was like the Dallas Renegades win the XFL championship.
I didn't watch one play.
I didn't even know it's still a thing. I had no idea. And it's sad because I like football, and I should be more in tune with watching it when it's off season from NFL. But I don't even watch the NFL anymore. Bah. College all day. I'll watch college football till the cows come home. I won't watch pro football.
College football is going to be great in about 1.5 years when they actually have a tournament like every other sports freaking league in the history of sports. Mm-hmm. Like, wait, we got all these good teams. Let's narrow it down to see who the best is. Yeah. College football? Nope. We rank them. Just give them a bowl game. That's who the best is. I'm like, no, you got to have a tournament to see like everybody.
Yeah.
Nope.
We'll take 2 separate votes from 2 different groups of people. It took them this long to get
there. I'm like, oh my God.
And everybody still, the BCS championship, which in theory it's okay, but it's not. There's not enough. It's not enough. You can't just do it with 4 teams. You've got all these conferences that have quality teams. It just doesn't make sense that you wouldn't. I think that's what they're doing now is like the super conference stuff, right? Which is like
I loved TCU's run, but I was like, man, no, how are they gonna stack up against Georgia?
Yeah, how does anybody stack up against Georgia?
Or Alabama. Even any given year, they all have like similar talent. It's just who.
The average weight on the offensive line is like 325 pounds. It's hard.
Georgia's quarterback has been in college for like 8 years. He's still freaking quarterbacking. I'm like, dude, how long is this dude been 32. In college? he's like he got busted for alcohol or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Who cares? He's in college. You caught him drinking in the streets. I'm like, there's like 1 million college kids around the world doing the same thing, but he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
But that doesn't excuse the fact that he's playing football in college, and he's like, you're supposed to be in the NFL already, dude.
Right.
He's like 26 years old.
It was like, was it Josh Wheaton?
Redshirt, freshman, redshirt. Then 4 more years.
Right.
I redshirted for 4 years.
Yeah. It was like was it Oklahoma State quarterback? Was it Josh Wheaton? Something Wheaton. He was like 27 or 28. A few
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, back in like the early 2000s.
Oh, there's a guy from Florida State, Chris Winkie.
Oh, yeah.
Florida State, he was like 29 years old.
Yeah.
I swear.
He's got kids and a mortgage.
Honey, I gotta go to practice. You can deal with them kids.
I gotta keep my GPA up, Bertha. Yeah. Good old college football. And I'd much prefer to watch it over pro football.
Really?
Yeah. All day. You know why? Because they still run the option. Damn it, they still run the option. And in my mind...
Very rarely successful.
I don't... Well, they call it the RPO now.
The game's changed for a reason because the guys on defense are that is just as fast as the guys on offense. I'm like, you run pitching out of there, the guys are going to get out there.
Have you...
I don't see a successful
I
option
watch these
anymore.
combines, right? I watch these combines and these offensive linemen come in with like 290, 285 pounds running like 4.740s. Are you serious? Are you serious? 6'5" and 290, 4.7. That's a gorilla sprinting at you at like Olympic athlete speed.
Dude, that's like one of the Cowboys. They drafted that guy from Michigan. He's like a D lineman, but
right.
he's a monster, dude.
I don't know what to feed these guys.
And tackle.
Yeah, just
hopefully he's good.
palms
I mean,
of
I'm a
people.
Cowboys fan, but I don't invest too much.
It's been hard to since
It's like since Troy left. Oh, jeez.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, they've been good for a while. I mean, they've been good. They're always okay.
They're competitive, generally.
Competitive, good.
You know,
championship level. Hell, like you say, 20 to 25 years.
yeah. Is it? So I mean, you coached, right? So when it comes to building a mindset in a program, right? Is it? I mean, obviously, the physical aspect of the sport and being good at it is important, right? But are the great coaches the ones who are good at harnessing the physical side or the psychological side? I would wonder.
Well,
I guess the best one's probably a combination of both, right?
I mean, I can't think of so many great coaches that hadn't played before.
Right.
I'm sure there is one, like Lombardi.
Right.
You know, considered one of the greatest or whatever. But you always think about those coaches and players playing today.
Right.
Like Michael Jordan playing today, and like how you can't. It's hard to you can't really compare. It's such different, so different.
You know, and generational rules changes too, because I mean, you've got a very different game. All of it, right? Football, basketball, baseball.
I've heard super, not legends of the game, but guys who played all these years, and you know, how it's 90% mental.
Right.
I mean, these guys are all gifted and strong and fast. You can jump 40. This guy jumps 48. I was like, well, the next guy jumps 47.
Right.
And he's like, it's 1 inch.
Yeah.
They're all. When you get to the NFL, I mean, come on. It's like at that point, it's like you're gonna have a few stand out, Patrick Mahomes, etc. People like that. But it's who's coaching? Who's putting this scheme in? Who has the want to?
Right.
Who knows what it takes?
Who can make them buy into the program, right?
And at that level, there's just so much involved besides just playing the game. Going to practice playing the game. Dude, I couldn't even imagine what those people go through.
Right. Yeah. It's,
lives, there's millionaires, there's money involved. They got to go do photo shoots.
And they're like 24.
And then they got to go, they're kids, right? And they got to go play the game. And then they lost. And then they got to go to the hospital. And so it comes with the check, you know?
Yeah.
And they're all so, it's the cream of the crop.
Freaks of nature for sure.
But I mean, it just comes down to.
I mean, how many guys play in the NFL total? Like
the Kansas City Chiefs have the best overall team winning those Super Bowls. No, they got Andy Reid, who's a genius coach,
mastermind,
and you got the best quarterback.
Yeah, arguably, yeah, for sure.
The Patriots have the best overall team in all their Super Bowls. No, probably not. But they had.
I still say
great system. They just won. Yeah. They know how to win.
I still say Bill Belichick had that custom motto, black magic, right?
Coaching and a couple of players.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a handful of guys that know how to get into people's heads, like as coaches, right? Yeah. Brian Bullock was one of them with the Ravens. Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, right? Yeah. Custom motto with Tyson, right? Training him as a fighter. There's what's his name? Oh my God, the striking John Danaher, who's a jiu-jitsu coach and is the leg lock crew, like a world famous guy in like BJJ tournaments, right?
Gotcha.
And those guys tend to focus heavily on this, like I say they have like a black magic as far as like how they are able to interact with people. And make them, it's almost like they're hypnotizing you. I mean, Custom Motto actually did hypnotize Mike Tyson on a certain level. Yeah. And Mike's talked about it. But there seems to be some kind of like dark, maybe I don't know if it's dark magic or whatever, but they just have that thing. You know what I mean?
Greg Popovich comes to mind.
Yeah, right.
And
Coach
having
K.
that talent and knowing what to do with it, obviously they won like how many 4 in a row or something.
Right.
Pillagek.
Hard to argue with, right?
Yeah, it's hard to argue.
They bottle that. Those are the books that I want to read.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When those guys retire, right, and they're like, "I'm going to write a book about my life." Those are the guys. Those are the coaches that are the books that I want to read. How do you convince a group of murderers? I mean, giant 300-pound oafs who play sports for a living to buy into what it is you're doing, right? As a coach, I'm fascinated by it. Because I can't. I don't have that. I don't have that.
It takes a lot to get those guys on the same page.
You know, like you said, young guys, lots of money,
older veteran.
set in their ways.
It's so
coaches.
complex. NFL. It's so much money involved. I think it's hard to. But
I'm interested to see how
the talent in a couple of positions and a good head coach seems to be the pedigree.
Right.
Am I wrong?
Right.
Like best quarterback, best coach.
Yeah. You gotta have a good line, good offensive line, decent quarterback.
There's so many factors, health, etc. But
but you got Trent Dilfers, right?
You got guys that do that, right?
Right.
Their just team is so good, and you just gotta ride the ship.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the Eagles are gonna be
With Jalen.
Jalen Hurts. He's not bad. He's good. He's really good. But I'm like, dude, these guys he's just driving the ship.
Right. When you've got a good backfield and a decent, pretty good defense. I mean, they were
best
proving
in
their
the
mettle.
league.
Yeah, they were proving their mettle for sure.
The top 3 are like Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas.
Yeah.
Like this,
Makes it a little easier to to pilot that ship a little, so to speak. I'm happy for Jalen because as an Oklahoma,
No, I know that's why I mentioned it. Yeah.
I'm a fan of his by proxy. You know what I mean? Even though I think he did beat us his 1 year. I don't remember. Either way, hell of a kid, smart kid. Raised relatively well and has a good head on his shoulder. I saw an interview with him earlier. God, who was? But he's like well spoken. Like he understands how to converse with people. You know what I mean? And it's fun to watch. But I also have a little spot in my heart, a little spite. It's like, oh, Jalen ain't gonna be nothing.
Yeah, he's
all he's gonna do is play the shit.
They say that because all the Oklahoma quarterbacks don't really.
No, we have not had
NFL. It's like, oh, Baker Mayfield, like,
yeah.
Joe, who's the other guy?
Sam Bradford, Landry Jones, Trevor Knight.
They don't transcend to the NFL. And
Kyler Murray.
He's not terrible, but Arizona's a crap.
Yeah, he's having a hard time out there.
He's having a hard time. He needs to go to another team.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of the bane of Oklahoma quarterbacks because when they are good in college, they go to a team that's had historic struggles because they're first pick. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If one of those guys waits a round and a half to go to to go to a backup at a Kareem Bay or something, and all of a sudden the career's different.
Yeah, Eagles. I'm not a big fan of the Eagles, but they have a great roster.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to the pro stuff.
I try not to, but it kind of takes a hold of me sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, go Cowboys.
Even in my college, I listened to a Sports Illustrated podcast for Sooners, right? And I'll always do like a rundown during football season of all the Sooners that are playing that weekend on Sundays. You know what I mean? Right. This is one of those super homer, make yourself feel good about the fact that none of your guys are actually Super Bowl bound.
15 of their starters are from Texas, but go Oklahoma.
Hey, talent comes from wherever it comes from. Who can harness it? Who can attract it?
That's true. And now, how about college football? Like, now I'm tired with this program. I'm going to go to another school. You can just I don't know what it entails of, but it's basically you don't like it there, you go somewhere else. Yeah, get some money, play
the transfer portal.
Portal.
Yeah. And then a name, image, likeness contract. So basically what they've allowed these kids to do, even though they're getting full ride scholarships to schools, is turn themselves into a business. And these kids who are smart are turning their businesses into like marketing and advertising agencies.
I think it's going to be a downfall of college
I wholeheartly agree.
Am I wrong?
No,
I think it's going to be a downfall.
It's good.
Were they getting paid before? Yeah, in some sort, right? Sure. Something. Remember Eric Dickerson? He's like, when I got to the NFL, I took a pay cut.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just him, right?
Yeah.
So whatever's going on, but they're trying to make it.
I don't know.
Legitimate, but I'm like, paying these kids, man.
Well, look. At some point, you have to. These kids are earning enough money now. I mean, some of these kids who haven't even played a down of football are worth.
It's not just football, am I right? It's women's basketball.
Oh yeah, it's college sports in general.
Like A&M had the most transfers out of the college. Isn't that like 20?
Yeah.
Kids were like, I'm gonna transfer.
Yeah, I gotta have a bigger market. You know what I mean? College Station.
A&M's like facility. It's greatness.
Sure.
I don't know why they were.
It's not a thing because it's not a Fort Worth with a Texas Christian University. You know what I mean? It's not a TV contract in the on the other side of the SEC. You know what I mean? Look, I get it. It is what it is. The money has ultimately now saturated college football sufficiently to where they're okay. We can't pay you, but you can go earn stuff because you'll have a business and you can generate revenue as a business rather than accepting illegal donations from boosters. I get it. I get it.
Signing a jersey and getting money for it. Like remember the Ohio State guys?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Reggie Bush sold his Super Bowl ring, right?
Or his
Heisman ring, or his Heisman trophy. And I think LaDainian Tomlinson sold LaDainian sold his Heisman, and I think Reggie Bush gave away his. He sold a ring of his. Anyway, either way. Yeah. But I don't know that it's going to be. My prediction is that it's going to result in a huge rules change in the next 10 years, because you're going to have these kids who are even younger than the pros that are getting these stupid contracts at 23, 24 years old. Now these kids are 17, 18, 19 years old, going to a college, and they now have a revenue if they're good enough. You know, you come out of high school as a 5-star recruit. You go to a big name school. You know what I mean? That's advertising. Yeah, right. There's kids who are going to be able to make that kind of money, who are going to generate pro level money at 17, 18 years old now. I mean, they're doing it. It's going to go sideways.
I thought it's funny how baseball's so different.
I mean,
like you don't have to go to college. You get drafted in high school.
Yeah.
Like every other one's changed it over.
Yeah. Basketball, you can be recruited at high school in basketball.
No, you got to go to college for at least 1 year.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, same as football. Football might be 2, but I think they
football,
probably scaled it back to 1.
Yeah.
The baseball, you drafted out of high school.
Yeah.
Go to the minors. Blah blah blah. I mean, you don't have to go to college. It's weird. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it's going to end well. I think it's going to be the downfall of a lot of kids.
Did you see in college where when you get a first down, the clock doesn't stop?
Mm-hmm.
Like it should have never stopped.
Yeah.
I never got that rule.
Yeah.
Like why on first down the clock stops? Who came up with that?
Yeah.
The same guys that said they don't need to play a tournament, probably.
The same guys that started filling out contracts for advertising time. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
In basketball, they're like 70,000 teams played for a freaking one. Like, what can you do with football?
Yeah.
It's like,
I totally agree.
Monday.
You do 4 super conferences. You take the top.
Oh, that's all changing.
You know, 3 teams out of each conference. You have a 12 team round. Not round robin, but 12 team single elimination. You know what I mean? And it's decided that way. I mean, granted, the BCS right now is better than the. Okay, we're gonna have 2 separate polls with 2 different groups of people, and we'll take into consideration record and strength of schedule, and we'll rank them, and whatever the average between the 2 rankings is what we'll go with. What?
Well, okay,
what?
But actually,
what?
this poll you're number 2, but in this poll you're number 4, so you don't get to make it. Like, what?
Yeah. So stupid. But so I mean, I'll give the.
It's like when like 2 or 3 people are booking gigs for a place. I'm like, and then they're double booked. I'm like,
right.
Guess what? Like, you gotta have one person doing it.
Mm-hmm. Communication is king. Mm-hmm. You know. Oh man.
We got time for a bath break.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. So yeah, where were we? We were talking sports, weren't we?
We were. We took a hiatus.
You know, man, I'm such a sports junkie. Well, I'm such a college football junkie. Like I'm an elitist when it comes to sports, right? I really don't pay attention to any other sport other than college football. And it used to be because college football was relatively pure. I know everybody got paid, blah, 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 but at the end of the day, kids played because they enjoyed playing. You know what I mean? And now it's with the NIL stuff. I'm not real happy with it. So I have to. Well, we're moving to the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC, so it's going to be a very different thing here in like 2 years.
Last year of them in the Big 12, right? They're moving this year.
Next year will be their last year.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I think next year is their last Big 12 year.
Yes. Yeah.
Insane.
So, and there's been talk about them moving early, and like it's like $80 million that they have to come up with as far as like making the move because it's early termination of contracts and yada yada TV rights. So.
And y'all are struggling in the Big 12, man. You're going to the big dogs. I'm like,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard. I mean, they always have like such a good recruiting class and whatnot and blah blah blah. But I'm like, it's just a different ballgame, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it is. It's SEC has been the dominant.
There's been few and far between. They invade that Georgia. They all have good teams.
And the one of the most successful teams against that was Clemson.
Clemson, right?
Which was Brent
Ohio
Venables.
State. There's like
Ohio State.
USC will be a good contender next year. They obviously have the number one. He's considered to be the number one pick next year. He's the quarterback of USC.
The dude's an absolute murderer.
I haven't seen any film on him, but
I'm telling you,
amazing.
he's a special kid. He's a special. Look, I the whole Lincoln Riley thing when he took him and
so
left
this
for
year's
blah blah.
Quarterback is what, Bryce Young of Alabama.
For Alabama?
Yeah, he's very good, undersized, very good, talented, poised. He's obviously the number one pick. Just like the next year is the number one pick's a quarterback. I'm like, is he better than this guy?
Yeah, I would say so.
Who's gonna be Who's gonna be? I'm like, now I'm thinking about records. Like, who's gonna be the worst team to draft? Because they're always gotta take number one. Yeah. But anyway,
where does this kid's career go to die?
But then you got like a Houston who they won like 2 or 3 games. Yeah. They just drafted Stroud, so they're not gonna draft him. Yeah. So then you got like trades and blah blah blah.
Move up. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see it.
Yeah. It's hard. It's such a crazy world, sports, right?
Yeah. But I have faith in Brent. I have faith in Brent Venables because he was again Clemson's defensive coordinator. Had all that success against.
The head coach?
He's our head coach.
Oh, good changes, kid.
And that was honestly everybody was pulling for that too. I mean, there was a couple of guys that were kind of in the mix, but they went to Brent because he was an Oklahoma guy forever. And I'm gonna go homer here for just a second. He's an Oklahoma coach forever under Bob. Right, got a chance to go be a coordinator at Clemson. Build his program, build his defense, and he did it remarkably well. Was extremely competitive against the SEC. Obviously, they dominated ACC with him.
They had a guy who had never lost a football game until he got to the NFL or something like. Is that right? Like
something crazy.
Trevor Lawrence is a beast, bro.
Yeah.
And he's still getting better, and he's gonna be good. He's great.
And he's in a program right now that's still kind of rebuilding around him, I should say. Because they need.
I mean, they're gonna win their division.
Yeah.
So I would assume
he's got a lot of upside,
Sure, they get a few weapons over there in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And what's the kicker? They have a great coach, Doug Peterson. He coached the Eagles. He used to coach at like Oregon or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He won the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Okay.
That one year.
Was that okay?
The Eagles won Super Bowl. I think he was a coach. Now he's in Jacksonville. I mean, he's a great coach.
Right on.
And he is a great quarterback.
Yeah, so he's got some.
You're already there, basically.
Yeah, right.
And they have, anyway.
And then it's all kinds of fucked up. What did I do here? Mess my angle up. Well, we can't have nice things.
My angle's been messing up the whole time.
That was better than the first couple podcasts. I had bad audio. Like I
that's perfect.
Started running audio and then it didn't record. So
it's weird hanging out with you and not even playing music.
I know, right?
Usually we just jamming.
There's always a guitar somewhere,
Right.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me. I love coming over. Love the fam.
Hell yeah, we're glad to have you. I'm very thankful for the relationship that we built with you guys for sure, and because it's meant a lot. You know what I mean? It's been, you guys have been with us through some rocky stuff, and
I've never been to Tennessee with anybody else.
You know,
I mean,
you know, and that was
so,
a fun trip.
That was great.
Yeah, that was the funnest trip ever.
And it's honestly, when going to Tennessee, and I've been there a handful of times. You know, that time was probably the best overall, but always the worst thing is Nashville. Yeah. Like, I'm so underwhelmed.
Yeah.
When I go to Nashville, we went to the waterfalls and the scenery, and we went to Knoxville and played, and there's so many other times, and Memphis is cool, and there's all the state parks all around there, but then when you get to stay in Nashville, you're like,
right. Yeah, you gotta stay out. You gotta stay 30 minutes.
And then the people there are probably, you're missing the good spots. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I mean, every city probably has that. You know, I went to my first time in Kansas City. I was like, this is not as great as I thought it was gonna be. You know,
where's the barbecue, man?
Yeah. St. Louis was the same way. You know, because that's where we adopted her from, and we had to stay like 2 weeks.
That's right.
In St.
I knew it
Louis.
was that state. That's cool.
And I was like, this. I don't want to come back here. I don't like it here. You know. And it sucks because look, the food in St. Louis, I'll give them this: some of the best food I've had in this country, we got in St. Louis. Some incredible like little craft kitchen restaurants that were locally owned, farm to table kind of stuff. Just amazing food. It wasn't the vibe in the city. It didn't gel with me. It didn't gel with me. You know, I saw the arches from like I parked the car at the top of the hospital parking garage, right? And I looked over here and said, oh, the arches. That's about as close as I'm going to get to them. Took my phone, zoom, click. All right, got it. We're done.
When I was in high school, we went on a band trip to St. Louis, and we got to go up in the arch.
Did you really?
Yeah. Whatever it does. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Experience. Because I don't know if they do that anymore.
I would assume so.
I would assume so. They maybe had to close down for a little while.
Yeah.
Everybody, but.
I mean, this was literally right before.
That's COVID. The only time I've been to St. Louis.
Right.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Very confusing driving through there.
Yeah.
This interstate split in a certain way, and then they split again. I'm like, oh man, we're going to Chicago.
Yeah.
We're trying to go to Arkansas.
It's very confusing to drive there. And then like Salt Lake City, Utah. You ever been to Salt Lake?
No.
So you talk about a confusing road system.
Really?
Right. And I shouldn't say that. It's like the side streets, like the surface roads are all very well organized, right? Very 90 degrees.
Square,
right?
Right. Basically square.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
The problem is navigating to that from the highway.
Getting in the maze is the hardest part. The maze, shit, that's nothing. We got it.
It's beautiful though.
How do you get there?
Honestly, my favorite all-time road trip was I took from Fort Worth here to Salt Lake City, Utah, up through Colorado and the Rocky Mountains. And it was the most incredible thing. I saw water flow uphill because physics is real and it does what it does.
True that.
Blew my mind. But it was gorgeous, right? It was like the temperature was great. You're up in the mountains, a little hard to breathe, but hey, whatever, the price you pay for beauty. Fine. Stopped in Salina, this little mountain town, like tiny little mountain town with like a 12-room motel. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. It's gorgeous. And the most beautiful drive I've ever been on. Once you get into Colorado.
I've never been to Colorado.
Dude.
Or Vegas or anything.
Really?
Vegas.
Vegas.
Some cool places, but I've never been to Vegas or Colorado or the Grand Canyon. These places are like, I want to see.
Yeah. I haven't been to the Grand Canyon either. Vegas is cool. It's cool. But it's
worth a visit at least.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're not the kind of person who likes being hyper competitive all the time, even when you're drunk, it's not very fun.
Yeah, it's a 2-day town, I'm sure. It's like spend the night, wake up, spend the night, leave.
Yeah, it's
unless
interesting.
You're rich or something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna win my money back.
Yeah, well, that's the downfall of every schmuck that walks into, I'll draw the house, but not even me.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. But it's fun. You hang out for a couple of days, get super drunk, and
I love it.
Piss away $500. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Go home with a story, right?
Sure.
Colorado is just the most gorgeous thing on the planet. It's amazing.
I can imagine.
And it's I grew up I didn't grow up in upstate New York. My parents were from upstate New York, so I spent a lot of my childhood visiting back and forth. And we would go to
upstate New York is beautiful.
Yeah, and the Adirondack Mountains and Catskill Mountains. I mean, you talk about God's country that's just untouched by the stuff that, like, everybody thinks New York is the city. Like, the city is, I mean, it's a tiny little spot.
Tiny.
You know what I mean?
Manhattan fit in DFW airport.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
The actual part of the state that goes from, like, Buffalo east and then New York City north.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's unbelievable. It's in Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame is tucked away in this little mountain town. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. You know, it's a lot of fun, that's why I love Colorado, because it reminds me of that. You know what I mean? A lot of brown, a lot of green. You know what I mean?
I lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of years, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, there's some really gorgeous parts of Pennsylvania for sure.
Northeast is gorgeous. Yeah,
The original centers of commerce, you know, on the Eastern Seaboard. You know. I have no desire to go to most of them, but the states behind them are usually pretty cool. So I've heard. But so last question, last thing we'll cover, because we're musicians. I want to be as fair as possible.
Okay. Yes, I will do again with you. Okay.
Fine, bro. Favorite concert, all-time favorite concert you've ever seen. A lot of good ones.
Man, there is just, I don't know. I saw. Oh man, they're so good. I saw Bob Schneider in New York City one time, and I've seen him a few times at that point, and then I've seen him so many times now. But I don't know. It was really cool.
Right on.
And that's one that stands out because it was at like CGBG or some famous club. Yeah. Maybe not that one, but one of those places. Like, you know, it was Bob Dylan last Saturday. Now it's Bob Schneider.
Right.
And I was like, we're going to Bob.
Heck yeah.
There's a lot. But that one's memorable. Dave Matthews was freaking amazing.
Yeah. And you have a similar taste to me in music, so I know that you would probably have a lot of really good shows that you can pick from. You know what I mean?
Nothing like big and fancy. Nothing, but
yeah. Some of my favorite shows are like the smaller ones. I saw a group called Particle. They're like a jam band. I think they were out of San Francisco. I think 2 of their songs had lyrics, and it only had lyrics for like 4 bars. Right? Huh. It's just a straight up jam band at the Granada Theater over in Dallas, which is a tiny. I can't believe I've never been to the Granada. Man, it's something special. Yeah, you get the right show in there. Cool show, yeah, it's really cool. And they were on a southern tour, and they stopped in Granada, and it's an hour and a half of just dudes in front of their instrument or behind their instruments playing music, not singing, nothing, and they're just that level of musician that no matter what it is that they're doing at the moment, it's perfect. You know what I mean?
They're on the same page. Yeah, no matter what.
Fun, at a tiny little Granada theater. You know what I mean? I think we paid like $25 for the ticket. You know what I mean? In a room with 150, 200 people, just mesmerized by these by these masters of their craft. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
You know,
and to just go back to the beginning, like how many times you see that at the last call jam, the campfire jam. Everybody's on. Like there's some moments there. Yeah. It's like wow, right.
Dude, the first time I met Randall and Susie, right? And Randall, he picks up and he starts picking his little thing, and you know, good guitarists that are virtuoso level, you can tell even by their warm ups, like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? And sure enough, that first lick he played, I was like, oh, okay, he's that dude. He's that dude. And I'm mesmerized every time he lets himself just kind of walk around the fretboard. You know what I mean? That's Wednesdays.
Fantastic.
Around a campfire for, $2 drinks.
Hit some harmonies too. Yeah. So great.
Phenomenal stuff.
How many duos do you know and like that aren't probably him, right? Lisa, Shotgun Josephine.
Yeah.
People that sing together are so great.
Zombie Plowboy.
Oh yeah, they make it working.
Yeah. They're interesting bunch. They're fun people. They're really sweet. But right on, man.
We could talk all day, but I'll get you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Anything you want to promote? Anything you got coming up?
I wish I did. Sure. Okay, yeah. Red Dog Saloon is just a great place for music.
Right on.
It's a cool bar on the east side of Fort Worth on Lancaster, and
It's
you don't mind people walking around everywhere. You know, get in the bar and make some friends and some become family kind of people. You know, and then the music, the sound, the music. It's always great. And
It's a good jam.
I'm fortunate to host open jam there every Thursday.
Right on.
And I treat it like it's like I'm at the Bass Hall, you know.
Right.
It's great. I'm like, I gotta get the sound perfect, dial it, you know, and it's be 5 people in the bar, or there could be 50. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's always gonna sound good, and I love being a part of it.
Right on. Right on. It is a good jam.
They go Mondays and Thursdays.
Do
and they have music all the time. So.
'Cause I remember they were
like a
doing
second
that. They were doing that live show.
Yeah, and that's been on hiatus for a while. So
Yeah.
they're gonna try to get that going.
Yeah, was it Justin? Right, was his name?
No, despite whoever they get to like coordinate things, be able to mix in your like simulcast.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I'd love
Get
to.
involved with that,
You know, build a show. I'm always down for helping local businesses build. You know.
Yeah.
Right on. So y'all Thursdays, go check it out. If you're playing or you're listening, it doesn't matter. Just show up, drink cold beer. You know, it's a cool little spot. I enjoy. Every time I've gone there and played, I've always had a good time. You know, some really killer musicians running through there. So other than that,
Cheers, thank you.
absolutely. Will, thank you for sitting down with us. Rebecca, thank you for sitting in and listening to us. We appreciate it. As always, guys, be helpful, be a leader. If you can be here, as always, if you can be here, get here. Later. Right on, man.
Right on, dude.